Hello everyone, welcome to day 3 of the Greater Philadelphia Yarn Crawl. It is not the last day of the crawl, but hopefully it's the one where I finish everything. I'm getting a bit of a later start than I would have liked. It's like 11:40 right now in the morning. I was hoping to start about 2 hours ago. I needed to sleep, so that's what happened. It's still possible that I can get done what I need to get done because there are more hours than there are stores that I have to visit today left. So that still means that I still have time to factor in the travel and hopefully make it to everything in time. Even though the stores all closed about 2 hours earlier today than they did yesterday because it's a weekend day. So more people are off and therefore more likely to be able to arrive during the morning hours. It looks to be like a lot of highway driving today. So it's just one of those gotta get the music on and ride type of deals. Yeah. Well, anyway, let's get going. I just came out of Pearls of Wisdom and it's not a little store. It's actually a little bit bigger than a typical yarn store, but it had a lot of stuff. I found a lot of goodies here. So I found this kit for a VW microbus, or it says Fetch Over in red, but we know it's a VW microbus, yeah. Couldn't resist. And then I found this roving. This is Polworth. It's 4 ounces and like it's just plain undyed. I could tell from like the name of the label that's on, like Sina's Fiber Arts, that it's a indie fiber artist who provided it, because just the way that the email is set up and also the fact that there's just one person's name as compared to if it's a corporation, they don't have the one person's name. Anyway, I also found some yarn brands that I've never seen before. So I tried to get some of them. So this is like yarn rehabilitation for the yarn bereft. Look at that gorgeous colorway. It's like a nice deep blue greenish sort of color. It's like super squishy. And then I found a brand that I have bought before, but I also know that they've severely limited their offerings around. So I was really surprised to find it here. Less Traveled Yarn. You can't really see the label here, but look at that gorgeous colorway. Just like the green and the purple together. Ooh. They had another brand I've never seen before, like Lantern Light. And look at that gorgeous purple called Sea Urchin. These are probably like all some sort of merino wool. Yeah, this is superwash merino and nylon. And then Less Traveled Yarn is merino and nylon. The Rehab Yarn is 100% merino. Then we have this Yarn Addict. And this is an absolutely gorgeous colorway. This is a merino and nylon. I guess I have a type. There's one thing that goes like for the squish test, it's merino. They also have this Craft Me Knot, Chester County, Pennsylvania. We're currently in Phoenixville right now, and the exit I took off at the turnpike, it was the same exit as Chester, so this is really, really local from what I can tell. And this is a merino and linen mix. It's like a earthy-ish sort of green. And the last yarn that I got is a DK base from Lilac and Fine, and this is the colorway they made specifically for this yarn crawl. So obviously I had to get it. It's like so squishy and such a beautiful colorway, and honestly kind of informed the rest of the colors that I picked up. I bought one more thing. It's a book. So this is the Rowan Ocean Blue by Martin Story. Now I have a different Martin Story book that has patterns like this, and I have attempted to make several patterns from that book, and in fact I've used it so much that the book is falling apart. Literally, like I've had it for over a decade. So when I saw this was exciting. There's options for both men and women in here, but they're more like, the sizing is not necessarily unisex, but the style is more like gender neutral, which is nice. And then they also, if you spent over $100, which means I blew my budget, but because I got it, they give you this little notions kit. And so I haven't actually opened it up yet. I don't know what's in here. Oh, I got some stitch markers. Stitch markers and foldable scissors. Pretty handy little notion kit. And different types of stitch markers too, which is nice because I am a lot more likely to use these 2 types of stitch markers than I am the rest of them, because I use stitch markers mostly when I crochet. So the people here were very friendly. I got greeted by one of the employees right when I entered to get my passport stamped, and she was actually in the process of working on a brick sweater She was doing in this lovely mint green yarn. And then Laura helped me out with the checkout, and like she made sure I had everything that I wanted and checked everything out. And she was also asking about the curl, and she also had on this amazing pink sweater on it, like a knitted sweater with eyelet triangles on it. That's what I got here, and it was a nice little stop that I made by the store, and I got 2 stores left, so I'm going to head to the next closest one now. I just came out of Yarnington, and it's a delightful little store. The store owner is named Virginia, and Virginia is very, very friendly, and she absolutely knows how to market her yarn, which is great because I found out a lot about this little store in a very short amount of time. One thing I've noticed with other stores so far is that there's not a lot of local based yarns compared to some of the other yarn crawls I've been on, because a lot of local based yarns come from farms. And Philadelphia is a metropolitan area, so there's not a lot of farms around us, but Yarnington is in Downington, and we're a little bit more in like farm country right now, or like more suburban rural area. So there are like more local based stuff. The store itself is kind of like a mix between like local based high-end yarns and then some of the more like cheaper chain store brand yarns. Like I've seen some Lion brand in here and Bernat, basically things that I would expect to see in a Joann and Michaels, which I'm gonna say doesn't mean that they're bad, but also they're not the type of yarns I'd go to a yarn store for. But it could actually help service this community because I haven't seen too many like big ticket stores around here. I'm very glad that Virginia gave me a lot of information about the different yarns I was buying, so I could be sure that I was buying like more local yarns to the area. It says Kiwi Connection. It says Abner Jones, I think it is. Yeah, by Abner Jones Art Yarns. I think this is like Royersford or something like that. She said a name I wasn't sure of before, but apparently she is the only store that offers this yarn, at least in the crawl. The colors here are so nice and vibrant. Like, I was just intrigued by the sunsetty sort of color, but then I saw this blue and I was like, well, let's get them both. My inhibitions towards buying yarn drops down the longer I've been on a crawl. There's this other local yarn called Sunset Fiber Company. It's based in Lancaster. Look at that vivid green. It's just like, it literally stands out. This is 100% superwash merino. And then this here is Duck Fibers yarn. This particular color is called Baby Shark. Virginia told me that the dyer's daughter helps her name the yarns. There's this brand I've never seen before called Dashhound Daddy knits, and I got a very Dashhound like color, although there were also some very other vibrant colors with it too. And it turns out he's based in Harrisburg. This is a merino nylon mix, and this is fingering. He actually did a collaboration with the yarn store owner here. So the yarn store owner also has her own yarn line. This is her yarn, the Yarnington yarn. She actually dyes it on site. She has her dye studio in the back. And this color is called Cotton Candy. This is a DK weight superwash merino. And part of the collaboration that they both did back in December was surrounding Disney villains. They actually had some of his yarn by her yarn to show like these were the yarns done together in the collaboration. And her yarn only had one skein left. Well, one colorway left. There were multiple skeins, but this one I think is Ka, which is the snake from the Jungle Book. And then this one here is named Dr. Something. It's after an evil hamster in Lilo and Stitch, which with Lilo and Stitch, I've only ever seen the original movie. I haven't actually seen any of like the follow-up movies, and I feel like that hamster is in the follow-up movies because I remember like Jamba and the little green like one-eyed guy. And then I got some roving. So there's Virginia's creative gifts. I don't know if this is the same Virginia who had the store or not, but this was such a nice vibrant green. But this is probably more meant for felting than for actually spinning. But I got some nice colorways here because I'm finding out I actually like just doing short colorways just like that and just having like weird yarn colors. And then there's some roving that's mixed up like this here. Now I got one more thing, but I don't have it with me. So Virginia also got a colorway for the crawl. She sold out on the first day. So she's holding on to one skein and showing it off to people and saying, I'm going to take pre-orders to dye another batch. Once the crawl's over, like this colorway is over, but this is specific for the crawl. And it's like, yeah, why not? So I have one of those on pre-order. Chances are by the time I actually get around to editing this video, I'll have the yarn. So if so, I will insert a clip of it. She has her 2 spinning wheels out there. She showed me her spinning wheels that she had. And she also has a free library. So basically the only books that she has are more on a library basis than they are on a buy and take basis, which I'm glad she told me before I attempted to buy one of them, because I might have. So instead what I did was I took a picture of the publication information for one of the books, so that way I can look it up on my own. Yeah, this is a very nice little shop, and I've got one left, so I'm gonna get on my way. Considering it's probably like 2 o'clock and this crawl ends at like 5 o'clock today, easy peasy, I'll have enough time. I just came out of Home Zone. Home Zone, as the name might suggest, is friendly to people who sew. So half this store is actually a quilt shop. I kind of just stuck to the yarn section to it. They had a lot of little kits there. They're very wobbly friendly. There's a lot of Toff Menagerie stuff there too, and lots of yarns that I've seen in other places. I ended up not getting very much from this store, but I got some very intentional pieces. So I actually only got 1 skein of yarn. This is Bloodstone Yarns. Apparently they're a local dyer. This is a tender price sock. It's 100% superwash merino. It was by a sign that said, basically, once these are gone, they are gone, folks. So I guess either they're not continuing or they're just trying to get rid of this particular stock before they bring more in. I'm not sure what's going on there. I ended up getting a light. I've been seeing this advertised like everywhere, all over Instagram recently. In all honesty, I've recently tried out a neck light when I was on Kenya, and like one of the other ladies on the trip let me try out her neck light, and it was so amazing. So I definitely want to make sure that I have one for my next trip when I'm taking a long 14-hour trip. So that way that is all set for later on. And the last thing I got was a book. So this is a Star Wars Knitting the Galaxy by Tanis Gray. I've actually met Tanis Gray. She's a very friendly knitter. I actually went on the Kenya trip because there's a chance to have like a trip exclusive pattern, and we had a lot of fun there. I realized I've never actually read any of her books. So I decided it was time to get one of her books and like look through it for the format. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I have watched the movies like once. But I mean, I know the general characters. Yeah, there's Luke and Leia and Hans and R2-D2 and C-3PO and whatnot. So basically more of a research thing for me, just looking at the work of a designer that I admire. So yeah, that's what I got at Homespun, and I have completed the crawl, which is amazing, and with plenty of time to spare. Now I'm gonna start working on my way there because I'm not sure if I'm parked in a legal spot. I think I'm in the parking lot of the post office. I'm not sure I'm supposed to be here. I made it back home. Overall, it was a pretty smooth drive today. Overall, I would say that this is a crawl that was long overdue because the interest was there in the community, and the interest was there with the yarn stores as well, and the fact that these stores have generally been bustling the majority of the time I've been in here means that I'm pretty sure it would continue for the next year. Also, the way that the stores all work together, and it was like the appropriate amount of length of time for the appropriate amount of stores. To like 4 days for 16 stores, it's pretty good. Overall, I enjoyed going to all the stores. I'm very glad that I was able to be part of the first ever Philly yarn crawl.